Actually, Bhante Sathi is my school friend. He's in USA, and that time that Bob Isaacson actually and Bhante Sathi is looking for somebody to actually for an organized in Sri Lankan project. So Bhante talked to me. Then I say, Bhante, I'm very busy because I don't have any time to engage with another organization. But then Bhante explained me what is DVA. Then I'm really happy about his how he explained to me, because he tells the DVA is the Dhamma, voices for animals. This is really compassion and the kindness and everything, how the Buddha say, and we have our organization plan to practice the Buddha's practice, the Buddha's words, and help to the animal. It was make me really happy. And I say, as soon as I got the message, I say, yes, okay, I can join the DVA, no problem.
How wonderful would it be if Buddhists made the choice, and Buddhist centers made the choices to not eat animals and to go to a plant-based diet. I'm Bob Isaacson, so I'm the president CEO of Dharma Voices for Animals, and also one of the co-founders of the organization. Dharma Voices for Animals is the only Buddhist animal advocacy group in the world, in the entire world. And we are there to raise the issue of animal suffering whenever animal suffering is supported by Buddhists and, very importantly, Buddhist centers around the world.
A couple of years ago, I was at a teaching where this happened. The teacher was talking about his enjoyment of eating hamburgers. And this was in the context of a talk about having compassion for all sentient beings. And I was filled with confusion. So I asked a question in the group, and the teacher sort of dismissed my question. But afterwards, a group of students approached me and shared that they had similar feelings about it. And they told me about the group Dharma Voices for Animals.
I am Bhante Sathi, a Sri Lankan Buddhist monk living in Minnesota, USA. If we are really an honest human being, we have to talk about what do we believe. That is what DVA is doing. That is why I love DVA. That is why I am inviting every one of you to join the DVA.
We've had several major actions, starting with petitions on our website. One of the first ones was a petition to the government of Sri Lanka to pass a major animal rights, animal welfare bill. And our chapter in Colombo did a lot of work to promote this legislation. So in this way and in many other ways, our chapters in many different countries are a way for us to connect with our message with the people and with the governments of Buddhist countries and countries with sizable Buddhist populations.
My hope is to help create a strong community of people who care about Dharma and animals, and to help generate dialogue and awareness about human-induced animal suffering, and to provide encouragement and support to students and teachers in adopting compassionate, cruelty-free practices.
Let's be part of this. Let's work together.
It's my hope that together we can make the world a kinder place for all beings.
Hello, and welcome to the first inaugural DVA Speaker Series. Today we have three very special guests. Our first speaker today will be Bob Isaacson, the president and co-founder of Dharma Voices for Animals. That'll be followed by a guided meditation from Bhante Sathi. He's a Sri Lankan American monk, part of the board of directors of the Dharma Voices for Animals. And our final speaker today will be Dr. Ashwani Garg. He's a plant-based physician and a DVA contributor. And I'd like to now introduce to you Bob Isaacson.
It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm very excited. Thanks to Charles for for setting this up and being our facilitator. Charles is our communications director. So I'm very happy. This is our first presentation in a series. We hope to be a long series. We're calling it the Speaker Series. And it's all going to depend, the success will all depend on you, on those that participate. And we want ask questions, give us suggestions and feedback would be really great. So I'm just really happy to be here. Also, I'm excited to listen to both Bhante Sathi, who's going to give a guided meditation after I finish talking, and also to Dr. Ashwani Garg, who's going to talk about plant-based nutrition and give us a little bit of insight into pandemic and the relationship between eating animals and coronavirus and other pandemics. So Dharma Voices for Animals is the only international Buddhist animal rights, animal advocacy organization in the entire world. We're the only one. And we're starting our 9th year this spring. So we're into our 9th year. We've done a lot of amazing things in a short period of time because of the help of all of you, our members and our supporters and our volunteers. So this has been actually a wonderful 9 years. So let me just tell you a little bit about our history and then also what we're doing today around the world. So back in 2011, myself, along with Patty Brightman, Kim Sturla, and David Blatt, 4 people in California in the U.S., started Dharma Voices for Animals. Now, as I'm saying this, I realize that our thought back then was to kind of stay in California. There's a lot of Buddhist centers here, and we wanted to be advocates for animals. Start serving vegetarian food, start serving plant-based food at these centers. But then we spread throughout the United States, and then soon after we spread into Europe and into Asia, because most Buddhists live in Asia, almost more than 98%. So right now, as I'm speaking, it's 10 a.m., a little bit after 10 a.m. in California. It's a little bit after 1 p.m. in the afternoon in New York City. In Europe, it's 7 p.m., continental Europe. It's 6 in London, 6 p.m. at night. And in Thailand and Vietnam, it's midnight. In Sri Lanka, it's 10:30 in the evening. So the sun really never sets on DVA and on our organization. And so I hope that there are folks listening in and watching and participating from all over. So we've had exciting news about our operations. So let's start with the United States. We're behind the scenes a lot of times, sometimes out on internet and social media. And we have significantly changed the food that is served at a lot of the largest Buddhist centers in the United States to begin with. Centers in California, in the Midwest, and on the East Coast. And then in Europe, we've also had substantial success in our operations in Europe as well. And as I'm speaking today, we have 3 exciting, important projects going, countrywide projects in Asia. First one we started was in 2017 in Sri Lanka, the Buddhist country of Sri Lanka, and that is going strong. We have a team of 10 members in Sri Lanka, all over the country. We make presentations. And then in Thailand, we just started our project there beginning of March. And we have exciting plans. And there we're working with the monastics. There's 300,000 of them in a country of 65 million Buddhists. We're working with the monastics to change their diet from eating everything to moving towards plant-based diet, hoping that will influence the 65 million followers of Buddhism in the country of Thailand. And then in Vietnam, we started our project in 2018 at one of our international Asian Buddhist animal rights conferences. We started in the fall of 2018. And there we have a support group of over 50,000 monastics, all of whom are vegetarians, substantially plant-based. So that's our team of volunteers in that country. We've also been really successful with your help in establishing relationships, important friendships and relationships with some of the top monastics in the world. And also in the West, in the Western world, where there are a lot of lay Buddhist teachers, we have wonderful support. So, for example, Tenzin Palmo, Jetsunma Tenzin Palmo, a very famous nun who lives right at the Indian-Tibetan border in the foothills of the Himalayas, very famous. She spent 12 years meditating in a cave. She is part of our advisory council and gives us advice and feedback and important support. And then Western Dharma teacher Tara Brock, very well-known international teacher, is a good friend of DVA and is a very important part of our decision-making. And then our volunteers. And I think a lot of volunteers are on our call this morning. This morning in California, this evening in other places. I want to thank you for all the help you've given. I mean, our volunteers have built our websites, our original website, and now we have a new one, a new look website that started about a year ago, all because of volunteer work. And our volunteers have been our tech support. Charles himself was a volunteer for many years, helping us get our message out around the world. So we're spreading our message. And our message, of course, is don't harm animals and look at your action. If your action is supporting the suffering of animals, please, as a Buddhist, stop doing that. So this message is made possible, the spreading of this message, by our chapters all around the world, and also by volunteers such as many of you who are on the call. And if you're interested in volunteering, please do. Send us an email. There'll be plenty of ways to let us know that you want to work with us. We're all over social media. We have an active Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And some of you, I understand, are watching this on YouTube. So our message is out there in countries all around the world in a way that we can save as many animals as possible. This is our goal as a Buddhist animal rights, animal advocacy organization. And the one last thing I want to mention before I turn it over to our other speakers is that we have an exciting project underway now. We're soon going to be offering teaching modules. So where you can go online, and if you're a DVA member, this will be available to you, and read up and take a short review and find out information about important issues like, was the Buddha vegetarian? Did the Buddha require his followers to be vegetarian, etc.? So we're developing this now. So keep your eyes open, your ears and eyes open, and we will have further information on that. But in the next few months, we will have that going. So this will be a way to spread our message of compassion and non-harming, karuna and panatipata around the world, around the Buddhist world. So that's all I have to say for now. Oh, the last thing before I forget is if you're not a member of DVA, Dharma Voices for Animals yet, just go to our website and go to the Become a Member page and join. It just takes 2 minutes to become a member. So we need to spread our message, and this is how you can help us. So thank you very much. I'm excited to listen to our other speakers and presenters, and you're part of history today, our first in a series of speaker presentations. So thank you very much.
And thank you, Bob. And now I would like to present the Venerable Bhante Sathi.
Thank you, Charles, and thank you, Bob, for starting this inaugurations, this speaker series. And also I would like to thank our friend Ashwani for initiating this and wanted to do this very much, and now finally doing it. And also I would like to thank all of you who's being here. Especially, just think about, why are we here? because we care. We care all living beings. What is our example? Our example is myself. What we know all living beings would like to live like me. Nobody want to suffer because I do not want to suffer. I do not want anyone to harm myself, or I do not want anyone to bring pain into my life. In the same way, I do not want to cause suffering to anyone's life. That is our base. That's what brought us into one family as DVA. With appreciations of the people who has started the DVA, and also with appreciations of the people who's continuously supporting DVA to grow based with compassion, I would like to start meditation. Meditation is our basic practice of establishing ourselves, bringing awareness, promoting awareness, and cultivating our life. Insight meditation means purifying our heart, or finding our original self, peaceful self. So let's work together. And I would like to invite all of you to sit comfortably wherever you are. Just place yourself comfortably. If you are sitting on a chair, place your feet on the ground and place your both hands on your knees and keep your back straight. Your spine has to be straightened when you are meditating, and open your chest, open your heart, and drop your shoulders. Now, gently close your eyes. Feel your body. Feel how you have placed your body. You are relaxed. You are calm. Now focus your mind onto middle of the forehead. Think strongly. May I be well, happy, skillful, and peaceful. May I be well, happy, skillful, and peaceful. May no harm come to me. May no difficulties come to me. May no obstacles come to me. May I be free from anger. May I be free from anxiety. May I be free from pain and all the difficulties. May I be well, happy, skillful, and peaceful. Just think about you. You have been you have been through so many challenges in your life. Some challenges has come from outside, from others. Even some challenges has arisen from our inside, through our mind, from our body. Let's become the best friend of myself, noble friend of myself, by knowing I would not do anything which brings harm to myself. May I be well, happy, skillful, and peaceful. Now, let us share the same intention with our family. The family, they are the one who knows you better. We are sharing same intentions. DVA family, our friends, who's cultivating the same intentions, having same thoughts, promoting compassion and wisdom, trying to overcome all the hatred and the ignorance. Think about them. Let us share the same intention with our family. May my family be well, happy, skillful, and peaceful. May no harm come to us. May no difficulties come to us. May no obstacles come to us. May we be free from anger, frustration, anxiety, and fear. May my family be well, happy, skillful, and peaceful. Be well, happy, skillful, and peaceful. Let it cultivate and radiate from you. Cultivate in and radiate out. Let us expand this into our entire family by knowing all living beings, just like me, myself, and my family. All living beings want to be happy, want to live longer. Therefore, I am promoting and cultivating boundless love, this boundless compassion, inviting all the living beings to feel this and inviting all living beings to be stronger, including myself, my family, my immediate family, our DVA family, my pets, all the animals, all living beings. Just think, all of us are sharing the same breath. We are connected. I feel them. They feel me. May all living beings be well, happy, skillful, and peaceful. May no harm come to us. May no difficulties come to us. May no obstacles come to us. May we be free from anger, frustration, anxiety, and fear. May all living beings, may my entire family, all living beings be happy, be well, happy, skillful, and peaceful. Be well, happy, skillful, and peaceful. Let these intentions gathered, all the intentions gathered into these two words, let these two words continuously grow in my heart, our hearts. Be well, be well, be well, be well, be well, be well. Just allow it to grow freely in my heart, in our hearts. Be well, be well. Take a deep breath. Let your body relax. Open your eyes mindfully. Thank you being at meditation. So before I handing over to our next speaker, Dr. Ashwani, I would like to mention one more thing. With the compassion or practicing mindfulness, even practicing wisdom is our path. But this has to be a practical path according to Buddha. When you're thinking about Buddha's life, he only slept 22. He only slept 2 hours every day, and 22 hours he worked, was sharing, and he was very active. And also he asked all the mindful community to be active. Active for what? We have to be active to promote the goodness. Promoting the goodness. Therefore, I would like to thank all of you to be part of DVA. You're promoting your goodness. We have a common cause. And this is needed because some of our friends outside of ourselves, they don't value the life as we do because they don't know. Maybe they are ignored. Maybe they are not aware of. Therefore, it is our responsibility of sharing this message with all other living beings, with other human beings. Because humans are the one who's able to think, and humans are the one who's destroying the most. Therefore, I really appreciate all of you being here and working with DVA. Thank you very much, and thank you for letting me share some thoughts and helping all of us to practice more meditation. And now I'm looking forward to listening to our next speaker, our friend, Dr. Ashwani. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Bhante. I'd like to introduce our next speaker now, Dr. Ashwani Garg.
I'm a family doctor, and I'm also certified in lifestyle medicine, which is a brand new specialty which focuses on healing illness through lifestyle. And also, I have a designation as reversive medicine doctor. This is a small organization. Well, it's a big organization, but this is a small movement within it. Naked Food Magazine has started. Margarita Restrepo has started WFPB, which is focused on teaching planetary health to people, and we'll talk about that. So I appreciate Dharma Voices for having me. So as we invoke in the Hippocratic Oath, we invoke the goddesses Hygeia and Panacea, and Hygeia is the goddess of hygiene. Panacea is the goddess of universal remedy. So reversive medicine is the area of medicine that we study reversal of human and planetary disease because we're not different from the earth. Human health is actually interdependent on planetary health, which we're learning these days. What we consume not only influences our own health, but the health of the planet that we all share. And it has been demonstrated that only a plant-based dietary pattern, meaning vegan with whole foods and low fat, reduces the risk of many chronic diseases. We've shown this for many decades. It just hasn't been known or maybe appreciated by the mainstream medical community. So in human health, a plant-based diet accompanied by proper sleep, exercise, reduction of stress, and sunshine are the basis for a healthy body. And in environmental health, a plant-based pattern is also the most significant solution that we can give towards reducing global warming and improving the health and future of the planet. Now, the latest thing we have learned is, lastly, in global pandemics, a plant-based pattern is also the best way to avoid these pandemics that decimate the human population. Over 3/4 of global pandemics are caused by the confinement and exploitation of animals. And we can go over these, and it includes the bird flu of 1918. So we hear about factory farming. This started on a small family farm in Kansas and spread worldwide, decimated, horrible proportion of the population at that time. Swine flu from 2008 started on a hog farm in North Carolina and spread to the world. Then we have Ebola, HIV, MERS, SARS-1, and now SARS-2 related to animal agriculture. And it's interesting how people come up with all kinds of strange theories to avoid the real fact, which is that meat is the source of pandemics. Now, interestingly, you'll see this photo at the bottom. That is physicians and nurses protesting at meat factories because these are the epicenters of the epidemic, because the spread is horrible amongst the workers that work in those. 15,000 cases have been related to those same plants. And lastly, this is PETA's joke that tofu never caused a global pandemic. So this is being talked about in the mainstream medical literature, with New England Journal of Medicine publishing this in 2019, showing that increased carbon dioxide, pollutants, rising temperature, rising sea levels, and increasing extreme weather events is affecting our health. This is the New England Journal of Medicine. So they detailed a lot of ways that it affects our health, but air quality is one, nutritional status of populations, socioeconomic status, where the poor are exploited in animal agriculture, and a lot of the crops that are grown go to animals. And then they did talk about diseases. One set of diseases that we don't talk about or hear about much is antibiotic resistance. In fact, 80% of the antibiotics are given to the agricultural animals. And Thich Nhat Hanh has recognized this in the Blue Cliff Letter, that we can eat in such a way that stops contributing to climate change and heals and preserves our planet. University of Oxford researcher has said, Joseph Poor has said, that vegan diet is probably the single biggest way to reduce your impact on planet Earth. James Cameron, environmentalist and filmmaker, has said you cannot be an environmentalist if you're not eating a plant-based diet. And you can't walk the walk in the world of the future without a plant-based diet if you want to preserve it for our children. So we're going to go over some nutrition aspects of plant-based diet, starting with epidemiology. When you look at the diseases in perspective, if you look at the photo on the left, we focus a lot on the smaller bubbles like war, murder, mental health disorders, transportation accidents, plane crashes, etc. However, the big bubbles are the ones we should focus on, which are the bubbles of chronic diseases. The risk factors for chronic diseases that lead to death are the very same risk factors for COVID as well, including high blood pressure, smoking, cholesterol, and obesity being the main ones. And then if you see, low intake of fruits and vegetables is itself a risk factor. So the risk factors for severe COVID disease, as you can see, match, including obesity. So a lot of the younger people that we see dying of COVID and getting severe COVID disease are the ones who have severe obesity because the lungs are pushed up. They don't have the lung capacity. And obesity itself is a source of chronic inflammation. And then heart disease and diabetes. With diabetes, it's interesting that if it is controlled, the death rate is less than 1%. If it is not controlled, it can be within 7 days of hospitalization, 10% die. And then smoking and vaping, if you look at what we're doing that's so extreme, would it be so extreme to ban cigarettes and vapes immediately? No, it would not, because we're doing things that are much more extreme. And then disorders of the immune system. My question is, which we don't have an answer to yet, but informally, I've heard from people who have a healthy lifestyle that it's possible that meat eating and poor nutrition may itself be a risk factor. From what I have talked to a friend in Seventh-day Adventist Church, they have very few people hospitalized and sick in their movement because it is largely plant-based movement. So the reason I post this car is because this is the weight of food that we eat in 1 year, looking at with the eyes of mindfulness. It is really shocking when you think about it. So we have a bigger impact. What we eat today is very small proportion is plant-based food. Most of it is over-processed food in America and animal food, whereas it should be reversed. So when we look at what's in the aisles in the supermarkets, we look at processed food, supplements, even babies have packaged processed baby foods. And then what results? Most of these supplements are taken by non plant-based eaters. So the best foods are the ones on the side of the grocery store that do not have labels. The first foods you encounter when you enter. As far as nutrient composition, many people are worried about getting the nutrients they need, including proper amount of protein. But this chart is from the China study, and it shows that even if you take 500 calories worth of food, the plant-based foods have every single nutrient of concern. People take often supplements for calcium and beta carotene, vitamin E, and folic acid and magnesium, and you can see on the animal. So this photo on the left is from Washington, D.C. National Zoo. I did not see anyone asking the panda bear where he gets his protein. So for protein requirements, just to give you a rule of thumb, for protein requirements, take your weight in pounds, divide by 3. Again, a very rough calculation, but many people will realize that they're getting more than enough protein on plant-based diet. So bottom line, animal protein is dirty fuel. It contributes to many diseases and chronic inflammation, whereas plant proteins are the optimal fuel for your body. So just like you put jet fuel in a jet, you put unleaded in the car, you would not put, you know, dirty fuel in your car. So the same thing for your body, that we can optimize our health, increase athletic performance, reduce cancer, and then prevent and reverse not just heart disease, but many other chronic diseases. The reason why plant-based foods are so healthy are plant-based foods are the only ones that contain phytonutrients, the word phyto coming from the word for plant. Only 1 out of 5 Americans reach even the minimum intake that we have hypothesized that is necessary. So plant foods naturally contain all of these antioxidants, phytonutrients, and fiber. They scavenge free radicals from the body, optimize immune system, and also optimize gut health. Many of these foods are even fermented plant foods and contain what's called prebiotics. So if you take probiotic, it's like filling your bathtub with an eyedropper. Prebiotic is like fertilizing the field of bacteria in your body. So we can talk about the diseases that are helped. And the diseases range from what you would consider mild disease, however, to a teenager, this is considered horrible, which is acne. And you can see the transformation that it have proven to happen. This was done by the daughters of Jeff Nelson in California, VegSource, and they actually partnered with the Dr. Clapper to conduct a pilot study. And then we can see that in the medical journals, it is being reported. On the upper right, we talked about Crohn's disease. This is a study done in Japan in which they showed a semi-vegetarian diet prevented relapse. This is the most shockingly successful study of a dietary intervention on inflammatory bowel disease. And then many other diseases are being reported. So the International Journal of Disease Reversal and Prevention, a brand new journal dedicated to this science. And it also has a version for the public who doesn't want to read the medical terminology. So we are learning about breast cancer, women's health, rheumatoid arthritis, people are reversing lupus, and you can see the tofu and soybeans at the bottom. There are a lot of myths that circulate about soy. In fact, at the local temple, which I often go to, the monks have stopped serving soy products because of pressure from the people. And unfortunately, people just are loaded with these myths that keep perpetuating that have no basis in science. Just remember, tofu was the first plant-based meat that was generated in China. In fact, a lot of the plant-based meats that we're talking about, Impossible, Beyond, etc., well, the bean curd was made by Buddhist monks in China long ago for the visitors that wanted to taste of meat. However, they didn't want to break their dharma. So cancer being the second leading cause of disease is greatly shifted by plant-based diets. So just know, we have cancer cells in our body that generate every day, and plant-based diet shifts the balance. Diabetes, the mainstream guidelines have been adapted to include plant-based diet. Osteoporosis, interestingly, the countries with the highest calcium intakes also have the most osteoporosis. Heart disease has been shown to be reversed. You can see on the right side the artery opening up almost completely with plant-based diet. So what is plant-based diet? It includes these beautiful, colorful foods: fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts and seeds, and whole grains. These are pleasing to the eye for a reason. There's a reason that we don't eat raw meat as humans, because it is rather disgusting and bloody. So bottom line is to have optimal health, avoid oil, fish, fowl, meat, dairy, sugar, and caffeine, and eat from the foods that we showed you. So this is not alternative medicine. This is very much mainstream, reported in the Journal of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, that this is not only healthy, but can reverse diseases. So putting all together, we have nutritionists such as Juliana Hever who have put it together neatly in a chart, and I'm hoping to work with Dharma Voices to include more content on vegan diet. So these are my children and dressed up for a school play, and I thought it was rather striking. These are also the animals that people most commonly eat, is chicken and beef. So just as we have in the Dharma, just as a mother would protect her child, so should one have a boundless compassion for all beings. So the child above is no exercise. This is the last part. It'll just take a minute. So what do you see in this photo? You see a lotus flower? Or do you see the lotus flower, the rays of sun, the drops of rain nourished it, and the mud at the bottom that became the inputs of the nutrients? So just like that, we can apply this mindfulness exercise to the foods that we eat. So if we look at these foods, do we just see tasty food with the nice meaty texture, or do we see what went into it? Do we see the cheese that's delicious on pizza and eggs that are the common breakfast, or do we see where they started? So we should consider all the inputs that went into that. So this is one of the first, actually it's the first precept, that do not kill nor cause another to kill. And the question should be, why vegetarian, why vegan and not just vegetarian? Because when you really look at the sources of the vegetarian foods, which vegetarian means vegan in many cultures, but when we say vegetarian in the West, we mean lacto-ovo vegetarian. But if you really look at it, there is much suffering that goes into it. And in Thich Nhat Hanh's world, the word vegetarian means vegan. Fish are not vegetables. They also are sentient. And for every 1 pound, 10 pounds are thrown back. Eggs, if you really look at it, it comes from the back end of a hen. You would not want to eat that. And then when you look at free range hens, they're not really free range. They're just confined in big spaces. It is rather horrid when you look at it, what happens. These are series of hutches that house the calves that are wasted, disposed, because we are taking the milk that's meant for them. So I just want to show some foods. These are some examples of delicious foods that are 100% plant-based and vegan, some of them from restaurants, some of them my creations. So the reason they're so pleasing to the eye, this is jackfruit, which is the other white meat, as I call it. This is eggplant dish. So we can eat out, we can eat at home. There is nothing lacking. Medically speaking, there is no one that cannot follow a plant-based diet. So of course, we talked about the other lifestyle aspects, which are important. The smartest people in the world suggested a vegetarian diet. Albert Einstein at the end of his life. And Thich Nhat Hanh has said, our life has to be our message. So the question is, what message do you want to send to your own cells to protect yourself from diseases, including these infectious diseases we're left with, to prevent them and to heal our planet? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ashwani. That was a great presentation. Appreciate it. I'd like to move into our question and answer portion. We have from Michael. The question is for Mr. Isaacson or Venerable Bhante Sathi or anyone at DVA. I have been following the DVA project for some time and greatly appreciate the work you're doing. I have studied at Buddhist monastery in China and spent my 2018-19 academic year living and studying in Japan. A difficult proposition for a vegetarian or vegan. Because of my close ties with Japan in particular, I'm wondering if there are any DVA initiatives underway or planned for reaching out there.
Yeah, so I would like to take that. So thanks a lot for the question. This is an important question. You've been at a monastery for 18 to 19 in Japan. That's a challenge, as it is in South Korea. You know about this and other places. And then in some places in the Mahayana world, it's completely vegetarian, the food served at monasteries. But where you are, it was quite a challenge. So thank you for hanging in there for animals. So your question about Japan is a good one. Japan obviously is a really important country with a long-standing history and roots in Dharma and Sangha. And we haven't had so much connection with Japan. Not so many people from Japan have joined. So I wanted to say a word about what is possible there and maybe how you could help out. And that is, we have a film that was produced in 2014. We've had over 1 million people watch it, 150-something thousand on YouTube, but a lot of these presentations and screenings were to large audiences. So I'm sure over 1 million people have watched it. And we have translations or subtitles of the film in all of the major Asian languages except Japanese. So if you could possibly do that, I don't know if you're Japanese or Japanese is your second language, or if you can just find someone. There's actually not so much that needs to be done. It's about 5 or 6 pages, and we have a program for that. So if you'd like, please email us at friends@dharmavoicesforanimals.org. And we could discuss how to do this. And the film, I might add, is a film that was produced by Keegan Kuhn, who has worked also with the famous U.S. actor, producer, director Leonardo DiCaprio in films that you might also be familiar with. Cowspiracy, which is being shown all over China, and What the Health is the other film. So Keegan produced our film in 2014, and we have it translated into 12 of the major world languages, but we do need Japanese. And we're open to starting projects and starting initiatives in all the major countries, Buddhist countries, and also countries with significant Buddhist populations, such as Japan. So thanks a lot for your question.
Thank you very much, Bob. We also have a question from Philip. He asked, one of my friends is allergic to almost all plant protein. How can she be vegan?
Yeah, actually, this is a very common concern about allergy. So first of all, the most important is to work with a doctor, an allergist, perhaps a GI doctor, first to confirm that it's a true allergy, because there are allergies and intolerances. And the good news about vegan is someone can be soy-free, gluten-free, dairy-free, egg-free, milk-free. So there are 8 common allergens that are the most common allergens. Even if you set those aside, someone can still be vegan. There are thousands of plant foods to choose from. There is absolutely no one who cannot follow a vegan diet. You're on mute, Charles.
You're muted.
Thank you very much, Ashwani. I appreciate the answer there. We have another question from Philip. He asks, does DVA have any plans to support vegan outreach programs? I'm in San Diego and would happy to lead weekly or bi-monthly outreach at Balboa or Seaport Village.
Well, I'm from. What is the first name of the person that sent this by chance? Did you have
It's
it?
Philip.
Who?
Philip.
Oh, Philip. Okay. So Philip, I don't know if we've ever met or communicated, but I'm actually up here in Solana Beach right now. I'm sitting in the office, the DVA office of my home. And so we have an active chapter here. We haven't done much since the lockdown started in March, but we often meet at a Vietnamese American pagoda up in San Marcos. And we participate in the services, walking, meditation, chanting, and we have a plant-based meal with them. There's lots of work. It's one example of our chapter here in San Diego meeting. We have lots to do here. And since you happen to be living in the same county with our home offices, this is where we're registered as a nonprofit right here in San Diego County. So please email me, and I'll give the email again, friends at dharmavoicesforanimals.org, or you can email Bob at dharmavoicesforanimals.org, and we can talk about that. So I really appreciate your question. I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you very much, Bob. And we have one final question. This is a question from Susan. She asks, how can anyone be an active member of DVA and supporting DVA activities?
Okay, so let me take that one. If no one else wants to, I certainly do. Yeah, so thanks a lot for that question as well. So what we are doing now is we are putting resources and our attention into working with volunteers. You know, we've done this through the years. Charles himself was a volunteer for us as a tech support person for like 7 years before he joined our staff. So we rely on volunteers. It's really important for a nonprofit to do that. So I would love to discuss this with you. There's so many things you can do. From recently, I worked with someone who identified as an attorney, and we wanted to review a pending bill in Sri Lanka. So she was able to help us with that. So please do what I'm asking the others to do. Email us at friends@dharmavoicesforanimals. Or it'll go to the same email address, just bob@dharmavoicesforanimals.org. And our email address is on our website if you forget it or can't jot it down or note it now. And identify, if you could, where you are. And if you just a little bit about yourself, you know, if you have any particular skill areas, tech, or if you're interested in presentations and working with the public, or if you just want to do something like just sending out mailings is really important. So please do that. We really need volunteers. So I appreciate so many people asking about that. And I don't want to forget to mention, I might have mentioned that before, to everyone on the call, if you're not a member of DVA yet, please go to our website, and we have a separate page for Become a Member. And it just takes 2 minutes. And this is the way, probably you remember because you found out about this, but if you're not, please become a member. And if you could, tell some friends about this. We want to build up our membership so that we can be more effective than we are, even more effective in saving animals around the world. So thank you for the question.
Okay, so hopefully everybody can hear me. Yes, I would like to have a few thoughts for that particular question. Based on, most of us are coming from the Buddhist background, the DVA. Either you would claim yourself as a Buddhist, or maybe you haven't claimed yourself as Buddhist. It doesn't matter, because this is our way of life and the practice. So therefore, I would like to mention to you, just think about, we have a thought, you have a good intention and good thoughts, but that good intention or good thought will not be fulfilled until we have an action. Therefore, of course, maybe you are privately vegan and practicing by yourself. But according to Buddha's teaching, and Buddha have highly encouraged us to promote what is good and depromote what is not good. It is our job of sharing this message, bringing this message into the world. Therefore, I would invite and all of you as a part of DVA, let's work together with DVA to bring this message out. Maybe there are so many things what we can do, as how just Bob mentioned, and some of us can be support DVA financially if you don't have time. Even though if you have time, still that financial support is really helping DVA to do the activities throughout the world. And most of us are volunteers. But still, and volunteers, we are limited with some financial assets. That therefore, our work can be limited if we don't have enough financial support for the DVA. That's the number one thing I would say. And also, I would say, and most important thing is, we have to be actively participate with. Maybe we can convince one person for a week and encouraging that person to try going in vegan at least one day. That message can go and help that person to become a total vegan. And also sharing message. Sometimes we are shy of sharing what we know. We are shy of sharing the truth. I think we have to be brave enough. So therefore, just be a noble friend. Be a noble friend. When you be a noble friend, then we would be part of the DVA. I think those are the ways we can support beside what Bob has mentioned. And thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for those questions.
Thank you very much, Bhante. I'd like to thank everybody for coming and attending our very first DVA Speaker Series webinar. Hopefully we'll do many more in the future. And thank you again.
Thank you.